politicians really need to start seeing climate change as a sort of underlying issue to everything. The issues that are getting them votes, that the people in this country are so deeply scared about or passionate about, like the economy, like immigration, are all informed and are going to be affected by climate change. And I think it's crucial that people know that, because it will encourage them to care. It will encourage them to vote people in who can do something about it.
Welcome to Platform Z, or Z, whichever you prefer. Join me, Noah Lennon, as I speak with my generation about a range of topics and themes in the present day. Hello! What is good, people? Thank you for tuning in to the 5th episode of Platform Z Season 2. Today I'm speaking with a highly talented young woman. She's a fantastic actor and has worked in a multitude of areas in the industry, including commercials, short and feature-length films, stage productions, and even animation. If that wasn't enough already, she sings, dances, plays for her university basketball team, and writes her own work. She's entering her 3rd and final year at the University of Aberystwyth, where she is currently studying English literature and climate change. She's also our first repeat guest. This is her 2nd time on the podcast. You can check out her first episode, linked down in the description below. Anyway, without further ado, please welcome my dear friend, the poised, endearing, and fiercely intelligent soul, Julia Westrup.
Noah, you flatter me. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone.
Thank you for being here again, 2nd time.
Of course. It's a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So, as you may have seen from the title, today's episode is on climate change in the UK in 2026. Now, climate change is something that has come up very little on the podcast thus far, and I have to say I'm a bit disappointed about that, considering the increasing number of signs that we are entering a climate emergency. But we'll get into all of that in this episode. To start things off, Julia, would you like to tell the listeners what climate change means to you?
I feel like I'm going to start the episode quite dark, I'm afraid. Climate change deeply, deeply terrifies me, but it's also maybe my biggest motivation to do something about it, because it's my future that's on the line, and my family and my children and my friends. It gives me a reason to keep going, to keep the sort of hope alive. I think it's very easy for me to slip into this sort of very nihilistic thinking that because of it, nothing really matters and there's no point in doing anything. So I think what it means to me, unfortunately, it's kind of a bit more than an emergency now. I'd say it's more of a sort of active catastrophe. I think we're in the middle of it. It's beyond entering. We've entered. It gives me a reason to fight, I suppose. But yeah, it does terrify me quite a lot, I'll be honest.
This is a self-promotional break.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry. I really don't enjoy doing this, but I have to promote this show somehow. I'm currently in a UK touring production of an original new play titled Little Deaths. I'll be performing in London at the Lion and Unicorn Theatre on the 12th of July at 7:30 p.m. and then in Liverpool at the Hope Street Theatre on the 25th of July, also at 7:30 p.m. I love you guys so much, and I'm really nothing without my community, so please do come along and support us if you can. This is a really special piece covering some serious topics, and if you want to learn more about those topics, tune in to our next episode on Platform Z, which will be with the writer herself, Isabel Palmer. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Izzy is amazing. We won't spoil anything on the play itself, but it's going to be a great conversation, I can assure you. You can purchase tickets for our upcoming shows through the links in the description. I hope to see you there. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, first thing to say is thank you for correcting me there, because as someone...
You know I will.
I mean, this is why you're the first repeat guest. But on that note, it just reveals how little that we actually think about climate change, maybe on a daily basis, where I'm using terms like entering, but actually, I suppose for someone like you who's actually studying it at university, it's a completely different perspective. Would you like to tell the listeners a bit more about why you're studying climate change and what that consists of?
Of course. I mean, I think sort of along the lines as our last episode when we were talking about feminism, I think like feminism, climate change is a bit like a pair of glasses that I wear. Everything that I do and see and the way in which I sort of navigate and operate through the world and through my life is informed by climate change, right? It's certainly something I've been interested in, or I don't know if interest is the right word. It's not something I'm like passionate about in that like it excites me, but learning about it I think helps me. I'm a person who likes control over things. And I think learning about it helps me sort of gauge a sense of control. I think knowledge is a form of control, right? And knowledge is also power. And I enjoy spreading knowledge. I enjoy teaching people. I enjoy engaging in conversations about it and having the information in which to do that is obviously a very useful tool. And in terms of what I want to do in the future alongside all the other things that I do, I know that working in something that is working towards a more sustainable future is something that I'm interested in. So practically speaking, I kind of need a degree in it. But I did sort of stumble upon the degree by accident. It wasn't what I initially picked to do, and then I sort of found it and switched courses quite quickly. But yeah, very, very grateful to be studying quite a niche course and in a way, as a like quite a strong literature student, approaching it from that perspective is capitalizing on sort of what I'm best at, which is reading and writing. So yeah.
Amazing. And I know you're passionate. I know you, and I know you're a really passionate person. When we talk about climate change, I think a lot of young people associate it with protesting. I'm interested, do you protest for climate change? How have you fought for this outside of the degree format, if that makes sense?
Right. It feels like even believing in it is like an act of protest at the moment. Just saying that you're scared about climate change feels quite radical. But protests, I went on one or two as Greta Thunberg was reaching her peak of fame, right? In 2018, and unfortunately, sort of after COVID, just even active protesting for anything kind of became a lost thing because we couldn't. And I think all roads lead back to Trump's re-election, honestly. When Trump got re-elected, climate denialism just metastasized hugely. You know, that sort of drill, baby, drill rhetoric made anything green, anything sustainable, anything renewable deeply, deeply unpopular with people on the far right who are maybe not so educated on things. It's very easy to manipulate people into being anti-green. So where Greta Thunberg and Extinction Rebellion used to be these kind of groups and radicals that we really looked up to, and they were sort of movers and shakers. After COVID, when Just Stop Oil kind of emerged from the scene, everybody was laughing at them, making fun of them, right? And now we're kind of back to this weird sort of tree hugger rhetoric when it comes to climate activists, right? We're just a bunch of doomsayers, maybe, and wanting everyone to go vegan and stop everything, right? And all I'm saying is the planet's literally on fire. Everyone is at risk here. This is literally life or death. Can you at least agree with me on that? And that seems like a kind of hard conversation to have nowadays. And that's what's so frustrating is you feel like you're just screaming into an echo chamber, preaching to the choir of people who already know climate change is a thing, already scared about it happening, but aren't the ones who can do anything about it.
Yeah. Oh, it's really sad. I think that we've arrived at this position after COVID where although social media campaigns are so strong now and people can follow great organizations online like Greenpeace and Just Stop Oil, that's not maybe translating into the physical world as much and people aren't on the streets as much. It's a dangerous position to be in because yes, whilst online activism is really important and reposting and sharing these statistics and information around issues around oil or issues around water or plastic waste, these kinds of things, it's really important, of course. But I'm bringing all of this up because for me, I felt closest to actually making a change in 2019 when I was going on some protests every Friday. It was around the time you mentioned Greta Thunberg earlier. It was around her UN summit speech when she was saying, how dare you? And it was, we will be watching you. That was what she was saying. It was like a message to the older generations. Why do you think people aren't protesting as much? What has shifted maybe in the post-COVID world?
I think climate change as an issue has been largely swept off the agenda. It's sort of lost its salience because people have more urgent, more immediate things to attend to. You know, in a cost of living crisis, in a post-COVID world where people can't heat their homes, they can't afford to put food on the table, they can't even get a job, right? Why would they care about solar panels? I wouldn't if I was in that position. In a world of populism where votes are sort of earned from gaining points with voters, right? You kind of want to hit all the buzzwords and say all the things that people want to hear rather than the things that need doing. Climate change is not going to wait for an election result, right? So I think people need to be honest about what needs to be done. And I think politicians really need to start seeing climate change as a sort of underlying issue to everything. The issues that are getting them votes, that the people in this country are so deeply scared about or passionate about, like the economy, like immigration, are all informed and are going to be affected by climate change. And I think it's crucial that people know that, because it will encourage them to care. It will encourage them to vote people in who can do something about it.
Yeah. As we're recording this, today is on record to be the hottest day in June in the UK ever,
Oh God,
according
yeah.
to the BBC. And I'll link this in the description below, but I read an article from the BBC today that said today is the hottest, and in some locations towards South Midlands and Greater London, it's around 37 degrees. I think it's obvious when you really look into how the world is being affected. We can see these changes like the rise in sea levels, the huge amount of CO2 emissions, even right now, just to be even more current on the World Cup, the amount of CO2 emissions that are being emitted into our atmosphere just from the traveling, and the World Cup being set in 3 different countries.
Yeah.
Again, it's like these huge corporations like FIFA completely neglecting the climate to focus on profit. And we've seen it with these oil companies, these huge greedy organizations and companies can, step over any sort of environmental damage.
It's huge, greedy corporations, basically, and we're being given no choice but to live without them. That's what makes people feel so powerless.
Yeah. To really focus in on these social and economic issues now in the UK, we're talking about climate change in the UK specifically. This week, Keir Starmer's just resigned. We've had so many different prime ministers recently in the UK, and so many shifts in politics, in the political world. The volatility of how politics is in our country today is directly linked to climate change. What would you say on that, Julia?
Yeah, I think we've just not known stability as a country for a very long time. You can't fight climate change, which is deeply unstable, with more instability. I didn't vote for him, but I actually think it's a shame Keir Starmer resigned, because I think he was getting us there. He was getting us to a sort of position the country could maybe sustain. If we take today, for example, the heatwave this week, local councillors and politicians and the Prime Minister will be warning everyone to keep your house cool and to stay hydrated and to wear sun cream, as if this heat wave is just something we should feel very normal about. You know, this is something we should just not complain about, but learn to deal with. And I think that's the position that a lot of world leaders and a lot of governments have adopted. We're not going to do anything about it. We're just going to learn to live with it. And I think that works. That has to work, because we've done a lot of already irreversible damage. But there's a lot more damage we can stop. And no one really wants to stop it. You know, like introducing renewable energy or AC units doesn't work unless you cool the planet down first or stop using non-renewable energy first. You know, making the UK more adapted to heat does not work unless you make the UK less hot.
I completely agree. And it all comes down to those in power and actually the message that's being put out by them. We have power in our individuality and the decisions that we choose to make, the sustainable choices that we make, how we shop, our consumption habits make an impact. But ultimately, it's those that have the platform, like the politicians, like the huge organizations that guide people.
I remember having a conversation with someone about this exact thing. A lot of people will sit there and say, well, why should I use a paper straw if Elon Musk is a trillionaire, or if so-and-so is using a private jet? And I think that's a very fair point to make. I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree that we are forced to live under a capitalist regime where overconsumption is the only way to sort of get to a certain standard of living, is just buying and buying and emitting, right? That still makes us participants, though. We're still part of the game, right? And we still have choices. So long as you sit there and say, there's nothing I can do, then nothing will get done. It's really as simple as that. And I don't think me making more sustainable choices will make a more sustainable world, but it will make more sustainably inclined people. And I think a population of imperfect people who care about the environment is better than 100 people or a handful of people who only care about the environment. Me picking a bike or public transport over a car, or choosing not to buy the same shirt that I've got in another color, or making the more sustainable choice when I can, is better than me never making sustainable choices and relying on 100 people who are vegan, never fly, never use plastic, never buy anything, and live in a cottage in the middle of nowhere, right? I think people just need to wake up and go, I'm still part of this. This isn't entirely out of my hands. It's my future. How could it be out of my hands? No, I don't have institutional power. No, I'm not a trillionaire, but I'm still making choices that shape my perspective. And I think that's the more important thing. The more you decide against doing the sustainable thing, the more you convince yourself it's not important. The more you convince yourself you're not part of it, and you are.
Yeah. I'm not by any means applying pressure on young people listening to this to say you have to suddenly go vegan tomorrow, or you have to eliminate all your electricity usage, or you have to go plastic free. I think there's steps to this, but the sooner that we acknowledge that perhaps some of our habits are unhealthy and unsustainable, the sooner we can find more sustainable and eco-friendly habits. And when we have these conversations, this should really be something that's happening between our generation all the time, in my experience. And of course, our experiences are different. But in my experience, this isn't a conversation I'm having with a lot of people. I don't want this to be a topic that people feel they can't access, because this is our issue. This is for our generation to discuss.
Yeah, exactly.
And
yeah.
on that note, Julia, what is your message to our generation and to young people, how we can take those steps to combat this crisis?
Have the conversation. Admit that you're scared. Admit that you're not sure what's happening. Admit that you don't know. Have the conversation. Ask someone who might know. I'm always the friend, right? When you're sat around with your friends or somebody, and you're talking about all your plans for the future, and especially when it comes to like kids, I'm always the one quietly in the corner shaking my head, going, "It's not going to happen." I don't want to be the only one saying that. I don't want to be the only person saying, I'm not sure if any of us can have kids, because can a baby survive a 45-degree heat wave? Can a baby survive food or water shortages? Why would I want to bring a baby into that? I'm the only one saying it. And I don't know if anybody else is thinking it, but everyone just goes quiet. It's such a deeply unpopular thing to talk about because it's terrifying and people feel powerless. Eco-anxiety is such a potent thing. They can't name it, they can't diagnose it, but have the conversation and you will. I feel embarrassed when I start talking about it and my friends don't know what to do, and then I feel silly. But we will stop making each other feel silly if we just have the conversation. By having the conversation, you make people more passionate. You encourage people to care. And when people care about something, especially when it affects them, they will do something about it. They will vote. They will tell other people. Humans are very, very powerful people. I think we're forgetting that. If we can do this much damage, we can do even more good.
Yeah. Community is so important. Hopefully that's what Platform Z is doing, to plug myself. But I think look to those around you, challenge those around you. You're so good at this, Julia. You're so good at calling people out. And for me, I need to get better at it as well, because it's easy to stay quiet. That's such an important thing to say. It's easy to be quiet in an age where there's so much polarization.
Well, there's so much noise and you don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And you don't know what to believe. And
Absolutely.
you don't know what to feel. So you just turn it all off.
Yeah. Caring is so important. And you mentioned it, and last week we had Jada who came on and said the one thing she would change in today's society is the carelessness. And actually, yeah, why are we afraid to be passionate about these things? Why are we not trying? Why is there more fear in trying and caring than not?
Yeah.
With that, I think we'll move on to Platform Z's quickfire questions. Are you ready again, Julia, to answer these questions?
Of course. Yeah.
Let's see how your answers change from last time.
Okay.
What was the most recent thing that inspired you?
I was with my grandma over the weekend, and she's an incredibly inspiring woman. I owe a lot to her, and she's incredibly wise. She's very funny. She is so open-minded. You know, I think it's very easy when you get to a certain age to just be a bit stubborn, and she's not. She's so open to learning and listening all the time. She's an incredibly wise woman. She's been through a lot in her life and dealt with a lot, but she always just has a smile on her face and sort of shrugs it off and go, well, I'll deal with it. There's a lot I owe to her and a lot I've learned from her. She's an incredibly inspiring woman.
Wow. What's her name?
Katie.
Shout out to Katie.
She'll listen to this. She will. I'm going to send it to her.
Bless her. What is your goal for this month?
I think just stop waiting for people to say yes. I think if there's something I want to do, sometimes, like everyone, I have a habit of asking people if they want to do it with me. And then if they say no, then it's a no for me. But I think if I just want to do something, I can just do it by myself. So I think just saying yes, regardless.
Love it. What's one bad habit that you need to get rid of?
Did I say screen time last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's atrocious, actually. I think the phone still needs a little bit of work. I've been getting better, but no, the doom scrolling is still a bit of an issue.
Screen time sometimes is unavoidable depending on you.
That's the thing. Is like, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not even the doom scrolling, but it's just like, I got into a really good habit of delaying looking at my phone as late as I possibly could into the day. And that really, really helps. But if I check it too soon, then I'm checking it all the time. It's not even the scrolling anymore. It's just the constant just picking it up, I think, is the bad habit.
Yeah. That's everyone's bad habit, to be honest. What does joy look like to you?
Just being with people that I love. Yeah, being around people that I love and people that I don't have to dress in front of or try too hard with. People that I can just totally be myself around.
Nice. Also the same as your previous answer, which is good. What's the one thing you'd change in today's society?
I mean, I might keep it the same. I might just say net zero.
I was going to say net zero.
I mean, it's very, I mean, we're talking about climate change. So
yeah, there you go.
Net zero in 2 weeks.
Come on. Hopefully this time we get it. Great. Thank you so much, Julia, for this episode.
That's okay.
What a conversation.
Course. I know.
Please tell the listeners where they can find you, what you've got going on, what you've got coming up.
You can find me on Instagram at Julia Westrup. You can find me on TikTok at Have You Seen My Baguette? Because I still haven't changed it from like 6 years ago, but it's stuck. You can find me on Substack, Julia Westrup as well, I'm pretty sure. I haven't posted anything yet, but there's stuff coming. Things in the pipeline, not yet, but I'll keep you posted if there's anything. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, please check Julia out, guys. Julia is one of the leading voices of our generation, if I say so myself.
No, sweetheart, thank you.
She inspires me, guys. There's a reason why I'm doing this podcast. It's really because of people like her that I've had around me. So
thank you, Noah.
Thank you.
That's really made my day. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.